Wipe on my mind. Is that start writing again?
Crazy. Okay, I will call the meeting to order. If you would call the roll, please.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. James. Not in attendance. Ms. Baca. Here. Mr. Watkins. Not in attendance. Ms. Bennett.
Here.
Mr. Rackler.
Here.
Mr. Chris.
Here. Okay, at this time, I'd ask everyone to stand. Mr. Reckler is going to lead us in invocation and then we'll do the pledge.
Our Heavenly Father, we just thank you for a time we can come together and try to help the citizens of our community with their issues revolving around planning and zoning. We ask that you be with us as we try to make decisions that are the benefit of all those in our community, for the long-term benefit of our city as well. We thank you for our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and it's all in his name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendships among united cultures. Okay, welcome, everyone. I will entertain a motion to approve last month's meetings.
Make the motion to approve the minutes. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the meetings. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay. New business. You want to?
No.
What you like? Go through it, Brian. So are we gonna go in? Go into public hearing? Okay. So our first order of new business is a public hearing for resolution PC number 2024-2025-16. A resolution providing for a replat at the address of 610 West First Street. Submitted by Ahmed Othman. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, now we're in public hearing. Anyone who's gonna speak needs to come to the podium tonight to speak, just because we're having a hard time getting everything recorded when people are just speaking from the audience. So if you need to speak on this issue, I ask that you please come to the podium. So Miss Laura is going to discuss this.
So our first application is for a replat at 610 West First Street. That's just a map of the location. Here's the plan for the replat. So they have an existing apartment complex here. They're wanting to replat it and have a second one here. Since this does not have direct access to a public right of way, we asked them to have an easement. The easement is currently, the access is through the alleyway. So if this is approved, we would ask that they develop this portion, so it's actually on their property and not in the alleyway. Because right now this is just curb. So they're accessing it from the alleyway and curving. So. We published this in the East New Mexico News on 5/26/24. We sent out 10 letters to property owners. There was none for the proposal. There was one against. I believe he's here tonight to speak on his protest. And then we sent 7 certified to public utilities, and there were 0 for or 0 against. Yeah. A relevant ordinance for this. It is in a C2 zone. And so normally C2 zones, they don't have any minimum standards for lot dimensions. But because it is going to be developed into an apartment complex, we have to follow the standards for an R2 zone, which is 6,000 square feet. And I think this is going to be just a little bit less than that. So that is why their application is here today for planning and zoning. There you go, next slide. So as I mentioned, our recommendation since the easement currently shows on there is going over a curb, we would recommend that the property owners develop the drive so that people are not using the alleyway to enter and exit the property. And that's all I have on.
Anyone's for or against for this question?
Does anyone want to speak for or against this?
I'm the one who's gonna have to help him develop that, I'm sorry.
Okay, so, yeah.
I was gonna,
Who you are?
Jay Chandler. I was gonna help him develop this, and I guess the issue was there wasn't enough square feet for this building. We were just gonna mirror the building that's already there, just mirror it on that lot. And I think it's like 400 square feet short of being this to the 6,000. So that's why we're here.
Can you speak to the drive part? Cause I drove it today and I don't recall having to jump the curb to drive.
Well, no, it's that access to the alley. They want that easement instead of just going in front of the existing, they want it all the way across going to the alley.
Okay, there's an alley that runs on two sides of it.
Well, no, a
Correct.
street and an
The
alley.
street, yeah.
Well, no, there's two. There's an alley here and an alley there.
Alley in the back.
Two alleys.
Okay.
Alley in the back as well.
So you're wanting for them to have a drive from First Street that goes in front of the existing building right now?
Yes, ma'am. That covers across that, goes across the whole
Okay.
entire.
You
front of
can
that
stop
property.
there.
Right now, it's just right here, that concrete's cut off here.
But it is concrete. I just want everybody to be clear. It is concreted
This is concrete.
and you're gonna go ahead and go concrete.
This
to
is
the
concrete
rest
up
of
to
it.
this point, and we're gonna concrete the rest of this up to this alley.
Okay. That's
You're gonna concrete the alley.
Yeah, they already have half of it done.
Yeah, I already have those done. Where this existing building is, this is
Uh-huh.
concrete in front of that. That's already established. So we're just gonna mirror that situation right here. So all this will be concrete up to this alley.
And if you put the access on the property, you can't park. There is no place. There is no place to park because I drove it today and I backed in there to turn around and come back out. And if you couldn't use the alley, you wouldn't be able to park, period.
Right.
So as long as you're concreting that.
Well, that. From the building, because right now the building where it sits, and then from the front of the building to the back of this alley, there's nothing but concrete. And this part is the drive, there's like a drive right there for them to pull into. And so we're gonna just mirror the same thing. This part's gonna be the drive, and this is gonna be the alley, just concrete. Everything's gonna be concrete for these.
It says there's utilities in that alley.
There is, and I guess. it was-
So how do you fix that?
uh,
I never knew we had an alley that had concrete in it.
So they'll allow them to concrete, but if the problem goes with the utilities, the city will break and dig up the concrete and the owners will not be repaid for it. It is up to them to fix their own. concrete.
Fix the spot.
Yeah, the city will just dig it all up and,
How many places do we have around the city that has concrete in the alleys?
I believe 4 or 5.
5%.
Yeah, there's small, I don't believe we have one that's entirely concreted, but some properties have concreted, about half to.
And the utilities are okay with that.
Utilities are fine as long as the property owner understands that we'll completely wreck the whole thing to fix the line.
If they have to get to that sewer line. Okay, anything else?
That's it.
Jay, do you want to speak? Please state your name when you.
My name's Chris Gay. I actually own this property here. We've got a large door right here, and if we ever need access to this, to be able to come in and out of there to First Street, we're gonna be completely blocked. Right now, they're using it as a driveway. My understanding is you're not supposed to have a property where you use the alley as your primary source of egress and entry. So that's what they're doing right now already. If they do what they're saying they're gonna do, they will have no choice but to use this as part. And then that blocks our access to First Street.
Why would they park there? Cause all the cars are in that yellow part or not in the alley.
If they make this the driveway. People are gonna wanna drive in where they're parking right now. Right now, they're using the alley to come in and out.
Right,
And they're parking where Laura had said they're gonna ask them to put an entry off of First Street. So their driveway, so to speak, is gonna be exactly where they're parking now.
Right.
So where are they gonna park?
Oh,
They're gonna
right, I
park-
agree. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
They're gonna park right there.
No, I agree.
And then we have zero access to be able to get to First Street. So. We're 100% opposed to that.
Just to check with you and make sure I'm clear, if we agree to let them concrete the rest of that down to the alley so that it stays alley, they're just concreting it for us. Are you okay with that? Cause you still have the same access you have now. I've never seen that. I guess I'm asking, I've
have
never
other
seen that
properties-
block.
We have other properties where we have multiple alleys like this, and like this particular alley is not really used for much of anything. When we get alleys that aren't used by the city, people use it as parking all the time, and we have tremendous issues with people having to get people to move so we can get access through the alley to get to our property or move something out of the property or whatever the case may be. This will be the exact same thing. If you guys let them do this, they're gonna use that alley as parking. They're always gonna be in the way. If we need to get out of our building and get to First Street through that alleyway, we're not gonna be able to do it. It's gonna create problems, potential hazards. I mean, it's gonna cause us all kinds of issues that we shouldn't be having to face.
Okay, here's a question. How much room is between the property line and the building where they are currently parking? Is that just enough for parking?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's where those cars are sitting or rather.
No, nobody parks in the alley at this point. All these cars park up in here in this property. Nobody parks in this alley. They
Right.
park up in this property just the same as they would over here. Nobody actually park. This part right here is the alley. Nobody parks here. These people park right here in this spot. In front of this building. The same thing would be right here. So this alley is not gonna be parked in. It's
And-
not parked in. now.
And just to clarify, it's only about 5 or 6 feet from the front of those cars to the building.
Yes.
5 feet,
Okay.
I think.
Nobody parks right here right now. There's no obstruction.
But if they make this a driveway, like Laura said, if they make
Right.
this a driveway, where are they gonna park?
But
No, we
they're
agree.
parking here, just like they do now. The buildings sit here
But how will they get in and out of this driveway if they park?
We're not gonna move them down.
through this alley,
But that's the whole point.
Well,
but it's not gonna be.
no, I got you. We got you. Got you.
No parking in the alley.
We're just extending what you're doing on
Yeah.
the building one to building
Yeah.
two, the alley stays open,
Stays
except
open.
now it'll be concrete.
We're just not gonna change the access to from First Street. It remains the alley.
Who will enforce the parking?
Same people enforce parking everywhere in town, I would assume. I mean, the police department.
Better you call a tow truck.
No, it's not your property.
How do you?
It's not if it's, you don't call a tow truck unless it's your property.
It should be.
It's the city's,
It's the city's property, but if somebody's parking in the way,
they call the police.
they need to, they can call the police, but I mean, if they're blocking the road,
You can't, you can't call.
So if I'm looking at this correctly, your lot is right there and then there's a road between that goes up and down.
alley.
Well, this is an alley and that's an alley. So I mean, if there's a car parked there, what's stopping you from going to the other alley?
If he needs to turn to get in the
Yeah.
big door.
If I've got something that's as long as that building, I can't make that corner in
Right.
that alley. I need to come straight out to get.
Down
to
that,
First Street.
down that street out.
And that straight alley, I've got to be able to use.
Right.
That's a great place for an alley, just dead end right there.
Yeah, there's not.
Well, actually, that alley runs all the way, if you look at it all the way down, it goes all the way down.
But it doesn't run through your property
No,
over to commercial.
no.
Any other questions, comments?
So today, in the alley that's running, I would call it north and south, but it's not. Do you have trouble with cars parking in there?
No, right now they park right in front of the building where Laura was saying they're gonna have them build a driveway.
No, we're not.
They actually use the alley as a driveway.
I will entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
Have a motion and a second to go out of public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, so we're back in regular hearing. And I will entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Do we have two issues here? We have an issue because the lot size does not meet the requirement of a R2. And then we have a alley issue. Looks like we have two issues. What did he bring? What did he want us to bring?
So the reason that the replat came is because the lot size doesn't meet the standard.
Okay.
If it met the standard, we would approve it administratively.
Right.
So by you.
All we're approving.
Yeah.
We're all we're approving is the lot size.
Correct.
Yes, if you want-
And because it's underneath the 6,000 square feet.
yes,
So we're not doing anything about the alley.
Correct.
no,
Okay,
Okay,
I make a motion to approve.
Second,
I have a motion to approve and a second. Call the roll, please. Yes.
Who?
Me.
I don't think he can vote. He can't vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Baca,
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
yes.
Okay, so, and things are going to city council
on June 25th.
June 25th.
Thanks, sir.
You bet. Okay. Next item is public hearing for resolution PC number 2024-2025-17. A resolution providing for a zone change from a D3 to a C2 zone at 324 South Abilene, submitted by Kenneth Herbert Lumber. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So now we are in public hearing, Miss Laura.
Okay, so our next application is for a zone change at 324 South Abilene, which is currently in the downtown zone. It's a D3, which is a live work zone, and they would like to change it to a C2 zone. And the property across the street from them where the tennis courts are is currently also a C2, so they would not be spot zoning. Can you go to the next one, Dan? So we published this on 5/26/24. We sent 5 certified letters to property owners. There was 1 for the proposal, there was none against, and then for utilities, we sent 7 letters, and there was none for or against the proposal. This is just our current downtown ordinance, which will be changing potentially on June 25th. But even with that change, they would still have to apply for a variance, which is not permanent. So with this change, it would be a permanent change to a commercial zone. But currently, under their zoning, warehouse and distribution is not allowed in a D3 zone. And as I understand, that is their plan to build a warehouse to store construction materials and machinery. Oh, never mind. And then we do have representatives for the application here tonight.
Yep. Okay. So, does someone want to speak for it?
Thank you. Commission, I'm representing Kenneth Herbert Lumber here today. My name is Sammy Standifer. We also have with us Mr. Andrew Garcia, who is the manager of Herbert Lumber, and also Danny Heflin, who is the proposed contractor currently for the job. Real briefly, if I could just show you just kind of a brief plan that we're looking at doing. And also, I got my notes right here and let me share. But on the first page, you can see some of the just a kind of a picture of the warehouse, and the warehouse is for storing of equipment, machinery, and other things. Also, with modern building codes and things we run in today, there's becomes a much bigger need to store the foams, the different kind of materials in order to supply it to the community. And so in the storage in the warehouse area, be storing the delivery trucks, some of the other vehicles, along with some of those large foam plastic materials. Uh. Lost my train of thought, but yes, we are looking for a zone change to go to C2. The D1 just doesn't quite fit that need. Kenneth Herbert Lumber has been there for 51 years at that location. I think they've been here longer than that, but at that location, 51 years. And provide a great service community, do things that you don't see in other places. Still deliver the products to the house. You're in the construction field. Not only do they deliver it to the house, they put it in the correct rooms. If it's sheetrock, put so many in different places. When I was younger, they actually would climb the ladders and put the shingles on the roof for us. I think they're trying, probably insurance reasons, probably have other, but they still try to meet the affluent. So,
Andrew did one too.
yeah. But be glad to answer any questions. We can certainly bring Andrew and Mr. Heflin up if to answer some of those if we needed to. And I'd be glad to attempt to answer any we may have. Also on the pictures I just wanted to show you actually were the redevelopment of the old Bishop building. And they have many videos. I couldn't get them on that piece of paper, but the couple of pictures we did. And so you can see the old Bishop building completely
great.
dilapidated, run down. Nothing's gonna happen with it. Turn it into a beautiful showroom. So from there, you know, they can take the customers over right next door and go look at this place. And Kenneth Herbert's a staple in our community. And so anyway, again, any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
I don't have any.
Aye. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, well, I will entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
I have a motion and a second to go out of public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, okay, we're back in regular hearing. So I will entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Ms. Baca,
yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe,
Yes.
Okay, that was approved. Again, the 25th.
25th.
25th, council. Thank you very much.
Council, you're welcome. Okay, next item of business, a public hearing for resolution PC number 2024-2025-18.
You're welcome.
See ya.
A resolution providing for a variance at 1715 West 17th Lane for the purpose of building a fence that does not meet a R1 zone requirement submitted by Anna Maria Barros. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
Make the motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
And a second, all those in favor? Say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing. Ms. Laura,
Okay, our next application is for a variance at 1715 West 17th Lane for a fence that does not meet the requirements for an R1. We published this on 5/26/24. We sent 14 letters to property owners. There was 4 for the proposal and 0 against. We sent 7 letters to utilities and there was 0 for or against. So the property owner did provide some photos of the fence just to show the height and the setback of where it is. So the reason it does not meet the current standard is because it is 6 feet tall and we only allow for 4-foot fencing in front yard areas in an R1 zone. So those are just some pictures of the fence itself. I believe it, wait, will you go back to the other one? I think it's 15.5 feet setback from the curb. So yes, this is just the ordinance showing that we don't allow anything above 48 inches. What do you go to the next one? Okay.
So she already has
Can
the
you go back?
fence.
Can you go back one, please?
Yeah, go back.
The fence is already in place.
So they did build the fence. Our code enforcement officer is the one who brought it to our attention. So the property owner did what she needed to do, applying for the variance to keep it. If the variance were to be denied, she'd either have to shorten the fence or remove the fence.
So it's not on this one, but I read it somewhere. We're okay with how far back it is. It's just that it's not, okay, I was thinking it.
Yeah,
As long
it's
as it's
not-
far enough back. Okay.
since it's not on a corner property, it's
There's no
not,
line of sight.
yeah, there's no line of sight on it. And I have had property owners call, one was after the time, so I didn't add it to the thing, but she said that she did support the fence being there, that it made the neighborhood look nicer. And then another property owner said she didn't have an issue with it as long as they didn't extend it any further, because then they wouldn't be able to see when they like backed out of their driveway. But
If I remember correctly, one of the ones that was approving it was the one right next door, next to the fence.
Yes.
If I read
Yeah.
it right, so if the one right next to the fence is
Mhm.
fine with it.
Yeah.
And how did this one come to our attention again?
code enforcement.
Okay.
If,
And it's built since the change in the ordinance that it can be removed.
Yes, I believe the property owner told me she built it in December.
is there a way that we can say we approve the variance, but can not add any?
So the
Link to
variance would be for only what is currently there. And if
Okay.
she were to add more,
You'd have to come back.
well, technically she couldn't add more, but if she wanted to add more, she would have to apply for another variance.
Yeah, because I started saying, you know, that could cause a problem
Mhm.
if maybe not her, but the next owner decided,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just gonna take it all the way to the sidewalk.
Yeah, and she didn't have any plans to build any more of it,
Right.
so.
And I probably make some of these people mad, but I pulled in that driveway next, next door and backed out just to see if I could see,
Mhm.
fine, and I didn't see any issue back in my pickup on again.
And I did provide a petition of their neighbors that had signed it as well. So I really don't think that there is an issue with those that are around our
Right.
neighborhood.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
Got a
Stay in it
motion
forever.
and a second to go out of public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, we're back in regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny this.
Make a motion that we approve it.
second,
Okay. I have a motion to approve and a second. Call the roll, please.
Rackler,
Yes.
Bennett,
yes,
Bucka,
Yes,
David,
Yes.
Okay, so that is approved. I don't think anyone was here for that.
No.
Okay, next item is public hearing for resolution PC number 2024-2025-19, a resolution providing for a variance for a variation of construction standards on the platted but undeveloped road known as North Avenue R, submitted by Victor Lopez.
Yes, will you go ahead and do that?
I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
so moved.
Second.
I have a motion to go into public hearing and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, we're in public hearing. Now,
Forget that step.
Miss Laura.
You don't have to worry about it.
So, we did see Mr. Lopez's, application for vacation of right of way in the same area at our meeting in May. Will you go to the next one? We didn't send out any more letters for this new application, but we did post it in the legal on May 26th. And then, so this is Mr. Lopez's new plan that he would like to get approved today under the variance. It no longer includes the vacation of right of way of the 70 feet he originally wanted, but it does show, so we had approved the 230 feet by 30 feet wide, which would meet like what the platted road is, but what is currently developed there on the southern portion of North Avenue R is only 36 feet from curb to curb. And so Mr. Lopez brought his application back to get a variance on those standards so that he could match the existing road that is there. And I do have a bigger version if it's hard to look at in your copy, but Mr. Lopez did provide that. Which shows the
Yeah.
existing curb and then 12 feet on the other side.
I visited with Mr. Lopez a couple of days after the last meeting, because it caught his attention that because we put specific width on there, it didn't line up with the road that is currently there. So I asked him to come to you and put it back on just so we could clarify. All he's wanting to do is continue what Avenue R is the rest of the way down, which happens to be, he would be doing 18 feet rather than 30.
Including the curb and gutter.
Right, including because he's got pictures on his phone. He can show you it's 36 feet from back of gutter, back of curb to back of curb.
And then again, our only recommendation is that if it's approved, that the city of Port House not be responsible for maintaining it.
Correct. Just as it was.
Yes.
Do we need to amend the original?
No, so this is a new application with a new resolution number. So you would just have to approve the plans that he submitted tonight.
Okay.
As is.
Any other questions, comments? I will entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go out of public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, we're back in regular meeting. So I will entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Call the roll, please.
Schumacher,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Vaca,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Okay, so that is approved and that will go to city council on the 25th.
Hallelujah. Hey, I know it is what it is, but we got it straightened out.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
Thank you guys. Thanks.
See you.
Our next item, public hearing for resolution PC number 2024-2025-20, a resolution providing for a zone change from an R1 zone to an M1 zone at the addresses of 1320, 1500, and 1700 North Boston, submitted by the Roosevelt County Board of Commissioners. I will entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing. Miss Laura.
So this application is for a zone change for the detention center and the road barn that is located at the property south of the detention center. They would like to change to an M1 for the purpose of the road barn being there. There are no specific zoning requirements for detention centers. As long as they have a special use permit, they're allowed in any zone. Again, we didn't send out any letters for this new application. They just came back with the change of the M1. So it was originally put to go from an R1 to an RA zone for the purpose of having the livestock, the chickens, and that was denied on 5/13. They're no longer concerned about having the chickens on the property, and they would just like for it to be zoned for the road barn. And Mr. Montiel is here again if for any questions. Any questions for me?
Nope.
Okay.
Any questions? Makes sense. Makes way more sense than an R1.
Yeah. No questions, comments, then I will entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to go out of public hearing. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed. Okay, so now we're back in regular hearing. And I will entertain a motion to approve or deny a zone change.
I make the motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Vaca,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Ratliff,
Yes.
Okay, so that is approved. And that will go to the city on the 25th. Okay. Any other business that we need to discuss?
Yes. I have a couple of things that I want to discuss. I had a meeting with the city attorney and discussed committees and what their role is and what rules they have to follow. This is the only committee other than city council that goes in and out of public meeting, and this one actually goes in and out of it way more than city council does. I asked him if there was a purpose to that. I asked him if this was technically a decision-making body, and he said, no, none of the committees for the city are decision-making bodies. They only make recommendations to this body that makes decisions. Therefore, they have no reason to have to go in and out of that. All we need is a list of what we're gonna discuss and a place to put our recommendation, and it wouldn't be of action, actually just be a recommendation to the council. So we don't have to go in and out of these public meeting things on every single item. We just list the items and a place for us to say what our recommendation is.
If Mr. Richardson is the chair, would like to make that change moving forward, none of the change would be made.
Yeah, I think it would be a really good idea if everyone is in agreement. It's just, it would really make it a little simpler than going in and out 7 times a night. So,
We'll just double check to make sure there's no reason it was done like that for so long. If it was, we'll bring it back for vote. If not, we'll do the next one. Not have that vote.
now will we still entertain motions to approve or deny, or should we just go to a
Just a
recommendation?
place for a recommendation.
Then would you guys still vote on a recommendation?
You'd have to know whether the recommendation was approved by the majority.
So we'll just change the word. from
Word
motion
just
to
like it's a recommendation.
recommendation to go to the city.
So it'd be a recommendation to, it'd be a vote to recommend or not recommend this way.
Yeah, as long as nothing weird pops up, we'll send you an agenda to approve to make sure you did it right. As long as you approve it, then we'll bring that change to the next meeting.
Okay. That sounds-
Okay, item number 2 comes up from Steve Davis's item on last month's meeting. Part of it, of course, Mr. Davis was out of town. He was on family business on the other side of the state. And unfortunately, this Mr. Davis was not here, and we didn't know that we had the ability to call him if we had questions. So part of his concern when he came and saw me was that he thought we were going to call him if we had questions or had concerns, and we didn't know that, so we didn't call him. But his other concern was he was told it should be no problem and he could get an address. Should be no problem. And so when I discussed this afternoon with Mr. Ledbetter, can he get an address on a gravel driveway? Because that's what it would be if it's just an easement. That's all Mr. Davis planned on putting in, and he said, no, it has to be a road. So that was still the reason. So I guess what I'm asking is, I want to be clear on what our process is on when do you get an address? What requires an address, so that I don't make bad decisions in the future, because I feel like he was misinformed and now he's out money on plots and plans and stuff that he might not have done if he knew up front he couldn't get an address for that lot.
So we tell everybody when they do the plats that our recommendation is always to make sure that they are connected to a right of way. For addressing reasons and access reasons. We tell them that there's a variety of problems that can come up with using easements, and then we recommend if they would still like to do that, it still comes up to council. We can run them by Mr. Ledbetter, and we will, but Mr. Ledbetter will not address until after plans are submitted. He can give a tentative address if he makes something work, but on this one, it was an address problem was highlighted at the beginning with not being access to a public right of way. But we still wanted to move forward, bringing it to council and to committee to see if you guys would approve that.
So how do we correct that process somehow that it's not gonna put somebody in that situation? Because if I spend $2,000 on a surveyor to get something looked at, and I think everything's good, and I come bring it to you and you say everything looks good, and you come over here and we vote on it, and then it goes to Ledbetter and he says, no, you can't have an address. That seems like a major hiccup in the way, the process in itself.
For it to get an address.
Housing.
We need development.
So.
See, I used to think, back in the day, I thought that addressing occurred when you applied for a building permit, but that's when Portales was doing the building permits. Now we're not.
Still the.
But yeah,
So-
usually when the building permit is done up is when it gets transferred to Mr. Johnny to do the address for the building permit. But yes, address is not done until development start on that property.
And I know part of this is because this all got annexed in without it being developed, which has been a problem already 2 or 3 times since I've been here. And we can't fix that at this point. We can't go back and not annex it because it's already in, but I just don't want to see people run into this situation and I felt like I might have voted differently if I understood he could or could not have an address. So I'd like to see us find a way for a person to know before they bring it before the planning and zoning that they can or cannot get an address.
I guess that's something that needs to be addressed from you because we know when it comes now, it has to be on a road. And he assumed it wasn't going to be a named road. It was just an access. So therefore it didn't qualify and should have been told to him at that time. So that's what it needs to stop before it even gets to us, because we know that. You should know that. And you should address it to him. I don't know where he got the information that he could address a gravel access. I don't know where he came up with that idea. I don't know who told him that.
When the process was done, our recommendation is for addressing issues, it always needs to be attached to a public right of way. But commission and council in the past have allowed easements instead and address off that. So we do tell them they can still take it to planning commission and city council for permissions that we cannot get. So our recommendation is always to have it attached to a public right of way.
Well, guess what we need to find out? Maybe we need to have a meeting with Mr. Ledbetter and see if we can't clarify what's gonna qualify for an address and what's not.
No,
'Cause we
he
can't
just said it.
Yeah.
He just said it.
No, you just said that sometimes it gets approved.
Yeah, historically.
I have never been on a council where it's been approved.
I believe we.
It may be in there in the past, but we've never given an address on an access road.
On an access. But we've given addresses off of permanent easements. In the past. I believe we did one, it might have been this year. February or March. Then that'll be address off of easement.
And that approval has to come from planning and zoning to council, not from staff, right?
Because we've been told every time it has to be, that's what our problem was with Segovia, was it doesn't have a road.
Is that the one we're talking about?
No.
The Stroud subdivision.
Oh, and I missed that one, and I probably would not have agreed to that.
The county.
Yeah, that shouldn't have, I wouldn't have, if I missed that meeting and I would have not agreed to that, and that shouldn't have happened. In my opinion.
Well, and the addressing didn't come up on that one, so that's part of the reason.
Well,
That's what I'm
it should-
saying.
It should have, because they were gonna.
That's
put
what
it
I'm saying.
in
We
there.
need to somehow include addressing in the proposal that's brought to us. So we.
But that should have been brought up on the Stroud property, and that should have never been approved.
I think it was brought up
I thought they had addresses.
by, had asked about addressing.
The way I
But
remember it, it
because-
had
Because
addresses.
they had put a permanent easement, and that easement would always be there, they'd always have access to the road.
Right,
You guys voted for approval.
right.
And see,
And I-
I missed that meeting.
And I know when this one comes to council tomorrow night, because he's asked for it to be, I forget the word, but he's asked for it to denied, so he's
Appealing.
appealing it, which is his right. But he's bringing the person that wants to buy that lot, and if him and the person, I don't know, anyway, I just feel like we didn't have enough information to make the decision we might have made otherwise, so I just want
That's
us
something
to
the council can send back.
find a way to work on it.
Is that something the council can send back to planning and zoning for review?
That's gonna be my recommendation. And then maybe in the meantime, before that, we can have a meeting with Mr. Ledbetter and try to clarify what's gonna be addressed and what's not.
It's always okay with the first person. It's when it gets sold to the second person or the third person on down the line,
Like,
you have issues.
Mr. Ledbetter doesn't have the power to decide what gets an address or what doesn't. He just addresses based on the building permit and what is approved by council and planning and zoning.
He told us it had to have 60 feet of road frontage, is what he told us in this meeting.
See,
I mean, you can pull that up.
That's what I'm saying, we need to clarify.
So does he have that authority or does he not have that
Yeah, we
authority?
need some clarification.
Because he sat here and exactly told us that it had to have 60 feet of
And
frontage.
that may be the recommendation, but then again, they're coming for a variance. to the standard process, so I don't.
Right. Maybe we could have a work thing with this committee and the people involved. Mr. Montiel,
Think there might be some confusion here. If it's the Stroud that I'm thinking about, when did that property get annexed?
it's not,
It's not.
Okay, so-
that's why we
It's
approved it.
That's why
It's
we
not city.
It should not be an issue
It's,
because
it's yours.
it's my address.
And it had an address as far as I remember.
Right.
Yeah, so an address is not an issue on that.
Right,
For the county.
that's why we approved it, because you had addressed it,
Right.
Well, it's not address.
or we're going to address it.
But that question has been brought to me, so
Right.
I was a little confused.
Yeah,
on-
Because it's not city property, that's why.
But it's within our jurisdiction
Yeah. it-
because
it's in the
once it comes in, like what we had over by the high school, it becomes a mess.
Right.
And you have to take care of it because we allowed something that didn't fit city standards in the county
So
that close.
this is where the confusion started. So whenever we address it in the county, this close to the city, we follow the standards of what the city would be. So that's when Mr.
Exactly.
Ledbetter will fall into that place. That it has to be addressed at this way.
Right.
So however the standards are for the cities, how we'll address it in the county.
That's it, exactly.
With the intention of it, that one day being annexed into the city.
Exactly. That's my thought too. And so that's why it needs to be that, and that's why I don't think there needs to be a variance, but then, okay. But like I said, I wasn't.
Anything else?
All right.
Entertain a motion to
Make a motion,
Adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor, say aye.
Right.
Adjourned.
Hadn't heard of it. Because I haven't seen Steve forever.
Well, I know.
So I would have to do that for every.
I saw his.
Yeah, Kane and Saunders.
Does that-